History is not always fair. It favours stories, simple narratives, heroes and villains, genius and mediocrity. But real lives are rarely so clean. Antonio Salieri was not a footnote in his time. He was celebrated, respected, sought after. His music filled halls. His students carried his influence forward. Yet memory is selective. It compresses, distorts, rewrites, and sometimes a man becomes more famous for a story told about him than for the life he actually lived. Antonio Salieri was born in 1750 in a small town in northern Italy, Legnago, not a centre of power, not a cultural capital, but a place where music still mattered. He showed talent early, an ear for melody, a sensitivity to sound. But talent alone is fragile. It depends on circumstance, opportunity, and survival. When both of his parents died during his youth, his future became uncertain. Music remained, but everything else was in question. Salieri's life changed with a journey. He was brought to Vienna, the musical heart of the Habsburg Empire, a city alive with opera, court patronage, ambition. There he studied under Christoph Willibald Gluck, a composer already reshaping opera. Under Gluck's guidance, Salieri absorbed more than technique. He learned restraint, drama, structure, music not just as sound, but as storytelling. Vienna became his home and his stage. Success came steadily, not suddenly. Salieri composed operas that were performed across Europe. Italian opera was dominant, and he mastered it. He understood audiences. He understood courts. And perhaps most importantly, he understood how to sustain a career. In 1774, he became court composer. Later, Kapellmeister to the imperial court, one of the highest musical positions in Europe. He was not obscure. He was central, respected by emperors, trusted with music that defined public life. Salieri's compositions were precise, balanced, elegant. He was not reckless, not experimental in the way later generations would celebrate. His strength was clarity, structure, dramatic control. His operas emphasized expression over excess, emotion shaped through discipline. Some critics would later call this limitation. In his time, it was mastery. Because music then was not only about innovation, it was about communication, and Salieri knew how to speak. If his compositions faded, his teaching did not. Salieri became one of the most important music teachers in Europe. His students included Ludwig van Beethoven, Franz Schubert, Franz Liszt. These were not minor figures. They would shape the future of music, and Salieri helped shape them. He taught composition, vocal writing, discipline. He passed on a tradition, one that extended far beyond his own works. Influence sometimes is not loud, but it is lasting. In Vienna, another composer lived and worked, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Brilliant, unpredictable, restless. Their careers overlapped, their styles differed, their personalities even more so. Competition existed, as it always does in crowded creative worlds. But rivalry is often exaggerated in hindsight. At the time, their relationship was complex, professional, occasionally tense, but not the simple opposition later imagined. They occupied the same world, not as enemies, but as contemporaries navigating the same stage. After Mozart's death, stories began to circulate. Whispers, accusations. that Salieri had poisoned him. There was no evidence, no proof, only rumour. But rumour is powerful, especially when it fits a narrative. The struggling genius, the jealous rival, the tragic end. Writers and dramatists embraced it. It became legend, and legend became identity. For many, Salieri was no longer a composer. He was a character, defined by something he never did. In his later years, Salieri withdrew from public life. Age, illness, fatigue. He had spent decades at the centre of music. Now he faded from it. He continued teaching, quietly, privately. The myth persisted around him, but his daily life was smaller, more human. He was not consumed by villainy, nor crowned by genius. He was a man who had lived a long career in a demanding world. Antonio Salieri died in 1825. His funeral was attended, his contributions acknowledged, but over time his name shifted, from composer to comparison, from respected figure to supporting role in someone else's story. Yet history is not fixed. It can be revisited, reconsidered. His music still exists. His students' legacy is undeniable. And the myth that overshadowed him reveals something deeper about how we remember. Because sometimes what endures is not the truth of a life, but the story that proves easiest to tell. Some stories fade, others wait to be heard.